Happy to have you here. Just as a bit of background, our DVT Insights sessions are run on a regular basis where we bring in thought leaders and in particular experts in the areas of interest within the technology space. The idea behind that is to expose to you what the opportunity is with certain technologies and certainly where things have progressed to. We give a particular focus, I think, to the dimensions of AI that are introducing themselves into the market at the moment at a rapid pace, and consequently, how you might actually leverage that for value within your organization. Today is a topic of particular interest that I don't think is getting enough attention, and that is the aspect of security within your systems and how AI is now beginning to influence that space in the way of applications like Microsoft's Copilot for security. Today, we have the pleasure of Emil Munro joining us. Emil is a senior engineering lead at Silicon Overdrive and an expert in the space of security. He's one of those people that loves to dive deeply into the tech and help solve those problems as quickly as possible. So without too much ado, I'm going to hand over to Emil. But before I do that, just to let you know the usual run for us in terms of these insight sessions. Emil will be presenting his session first. And during that time, if you do have any questions, please raise those either in the Q&A function or in the chat window. I will pick those up, moderate those, and introduce those back into the talk with Emil, either at the end or during the session itself. So again, if you do have any questions, use that Q&A function or the chat feature, and I'll pick those up and hand those over to Emil. Thank you for joining us today. Really looking forward to hearing from Emil. And with that, Emil, welcome to today's session, and thank you for joining us. Really looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Karl. Thank you for having me. I feel excited to talk about this since you asked me. As I agree, as you said, this is not a topic that gets enough attention on the internet at the moment, or in social groups even. And it's important that we raise a bit of awareness around security, what tools are coming, what can make your life easier, and that you don't always necessarily need a security expert. There's tools available to help you improve your own security posture. Then let's dive right into the slides. As Carl said, I'm Emil Munro. I work for Silicon Overdrive. And today, we're just going to have a bit of overview on understanding the evolving threat landscape, zero trust, core principles around it, zero trust architecture. We'll look at how that fits into the Microsoft ecosystem and how Copilot for security, they just called it Security Copilot, can help you investigate security threats or even just help you generate reports, because it's not always easy within these platforms to get the information that you necessarily need. And it will help you get the information extremely quickly without hours of investigation. So there's a lot of time saving coming with the application. Okay. Understanding the evolving threat landscape. Cyber attacks are faster, continuously evolving. I'm sure we all know this. Ransomware has evolved from just an annoyance, something being sent out, to actual extortion, human-operated extortion schemes across the globe. And we all must adopt continuous growth in the security. And it is a shared responsibility by everybody within any organization, even in a personal sense. Okay. Attack services are inexpensive. Now, what we are really saying here is that it's no longer that just anybody, that just hackers, these extremely intelligent people that knows how to get into these systems are attacking you. They're actually offering their services, especially particularly on the dark web, obviously at a cost. Anybody can go buy these services and you'll be attacked by an expert, but it was inflicted by or initiated by somebody potentially that has a grievance towards you, ex-internal employee, somebody just doesn't like your company, whatever the case may be. So with attacks being so readily be available around the world, we need to ensure that we stay ahead of the game. If something new comes out, we need to patch it. If something new technology that can improve my security comes, I need to look at it at the very least, see if it's beneficial towards me, because compromised accounts is sellable on the internet. Denial of service is sold on the internet. I mean, getting a ransomware out there, $66, that's not in a lot of US dollars for US people in South Africa. Okay, that works out to about, let's call it $2,000. But if I'm really intent on attacking somebody, that's very small cost. Next slide. As mentioned, threat landscape is continuously evolving, and we need to take a very agile and continuous security posture. We can't implement, for example, multi-factor authentication and say, okay, I'm covered, that's okay. That is unfortunately not the reality. It hasn't been for a while. The risks evolve. We need to evolve. Sorry, my presentation is glitching there. Okay, there we go. Ransomware, as I mentioned, it evolved from, let's open one of these arcs. It evolved from just being an annoyance to humans actually operating them. I don't know if you guys have seen lots of YouTube channels that tries and expose these companies, and it will be a huge call center with hundreds of people in it, sitting there, calling people, vulnerable people, trying to get control of the machine, drop ransomware on it, and then what? You're stuck. You have to generally end up paying to get your data back, or if you have a decent backup structure, go through the whole process of getting that back, losing tremendous amount of time in recovering back your data. And just, some attack vectors and how it's growing and what their intent is at the end of the day.
Emil, I know I promised not to interrupt with my questions because I get excited about these things.
Absolutely, yes.
And unfortunately, you've already kind of hit a point there where I go, I'm probably like a lot of people that haven't thought about it from the point of view of how this has been industrialized into services that are widely available and essentially are there and coming at you at a scale that you're probably not anticipating. Is that the case of what you've seen out there in the field already in terms of these services being available and being directed against targets that of customers that you work with?
Absolutely. It is from like just a couple of friends sitting somewhere up in the Middle East doing this together, up into big call centers where lots of people are sitting. They literally targeting as many people as they can. That's why, you try and stop these spam mails tomorrow, they change it. That's why we still get so many of them. They run off of extreme amount of data centers, private data centers. Obviously, you're not going to get data center in Exnilo or Terrico or in Microsoft. Getting these things, Microsoft and the big guys out there generally very good at picking these up and stopping them. They just, cut your service. And that's it. So they build private data centers, attack people as much as they can. There's continuous across the globe attacks coming in. And you're going to see this from, if you go to Intra ID, sign in logs, see where your attacks are coming from. You know you don't have staff traveling, but you'll have attacks from US, Russia, Argentina, all over sign-in attempts on your tenant. And they leverage these massive amount of servers that they set up to be able to attack you. And why it's become so profitable, especially when they hit you with ransomware, is that in a lot of cases, companies has no choice but to pay to get the data back. They didn't prep for a disaster recovery. They don't have a disaster recovery plan. Their backups were there, but they weren't based on the normal 3-point target: local copy, offsite copy, cloud copy, as an example. So when the attack happened, backups were encrypted. You can't recover. So what choice do you have? And especially if something like a hospital gets attacked or a health chain hospital, they have no choice. They have to pay. And because there's a lack of security across the industry, they pay up. These guys see it's profitable, so they just continue. So if we can get everybody to adopt, these servers, their hacking services becomes less profitable at the end of the day. But main purpose, protect yourself. We need to do what we can to protect our data, our organizational data, and ourselves personally. This presentation focuses on how we can use Microsoft 365, which is obviously business enterprise type platform, but everything you get out of this, you have to take it into a personal sense as well. Am I using the same password at work as I do on my banking? That's not best practice. Don't do that ever. And if we can get data security across the globe, maybe the service won't be so profitable. But saying in the same breath, we implement security. They found a way around it. We have to implement something else.
It's an ongoing battle, but again,
you can't.
First lesson today for everybody is the risk is real. Pay attention to it. Take the necessary steps so that you're prepared for the worst, even if you think that you're protected at the moment. And you mentioned multi-factor authentication. I guess the minute you said that, I was going, keepers. I was kind of trusting that to be the fail safe on this, so that if they get my password, they still don't have my phone. And now, Emil, you've got me really worried. So immediately after this session, I'm rushing off to go change passwords all over the place.
There's one big example I can give you how they're getting around MFA at the moment is, and this has become extremely big, is phishing attacks. They send these mass amount of mails out. You can just, by pure accident, no malicious intent from you getting the mail, just pure accident, click the mail. if that link opens in a browser where you have a session saved, the whole, save my sign in, and that phishing link is opened at that moment, they steal your session token. Literally a cookie file that's in your browser folder somewhere on your computer. They then don't need your MFA. You already said, yes, keep me signed in, gave it the MFA. A session token was saved on your computer in the form of a cookie, and that's all they need. They then put that cookie in their browser, open the browser, they have access to your file, to your account. For that, you then implement session control from a Microsoft perspective with conditional access, so that if the example, if the cookie came from my computer, NB Emil, and is not opened on NB call, it says, no, this is not where the session was created. Ask for the password and MFA again. So, when originally they released this, MFA has been breached, it's not that actual MFA was hacked. They found ways around it, basically.
Emil, if you see everybody drop off the session, it's because suddenly you're exposing elements that they're going, did I or did I not kick on that attachment on that email that I suspected was not really an email for me?
Yeah, it's hard not to cause panic, but that is definitely not the intent. It's to educate and empower. I love teaching people, showing people, this is what you do. This is the threats out there. This is what you do to stop it. This is what you do to protect yourself. In a corporate sense and in a personal sense. But data is our lifeline. At work, at home, we have to be cautious and protect ourselves.
If I could just pick on that scenario again, because I think it might be valuable for a number of people that are either here or actually listen to this later. So those spammers, hackers are getting better and better at positioning links and documentation that they attach, which is probably a hidden link anyway, to the communication that they send out. And yes, some we can see and you filter out, you go, there's no way, I am not interested, delete, gone. But occasionally something will come through that really looks legitimate. If somebody is hesitant about something, obviously the first thing would be to go, no, I'm not going to open it. And I might respond to who I think the original sender is. And I could send them an email to either confirm that they're actually communicating with me or not. But is there a way to actually take a look at an email or a link and actually validate what that link is and be sure that it's safe or not?
So in things we're talking in a Microsoft sense, from a Microsoft perspective, you'd want to enable safe links. It used to be ATP safe links. I was just part of Defender for Office, which is just a safe links policy. You'll enable that and configure it in such a way that when you click a link from a mail, it triggers Microsoft to check it first. Microsoft checks it. I don't know if anybody's seen it before. I don't have an example right now. But you'll see the address first goes to Microsoft. They check it. If it's safe, you end up at the site and your address bar is, so the example, facebook.com. And you're on the right place. The better option is to not let the link deliver until it was checked by Microsoft. So they pre-check it. If it's safe, then they send it to you. Now, tools like Mimecast can do obviously the same. And then on top of that, we have a good user awareness training program. If it is within the Microsoft stack with their phishing campaigns, if it is a tool like, let me think, a good one, Know Before, get the user awareness training out there. Keep it fresh in people's minds. They always look. Don't just click the link. Like I have this AKA human operated thing. If that was in the mail, if you hover over it on the mail, does what this says correspond to the hyperlink that it's going to go to? You'll hover it, and then the bottom left, usually it will tell you, no, this is going to go somewhere else. But if you're not sure, mail it to your IT admin, your security expert, your lifeline. If you have just get a second pair of eyes on it. And it's something that Microsoft also has built into this platform already, and you don't even need the best of licenses to enable this. Is to enable a report to phishing link in Outlook. That will send it. So you're going to enable it. Everybody gets a report phishing link in the Outlook. If you like classic Outlook like me, that will appear there. Or new Outlook, that will appear there. You click it. Microsoft will then investigate it first for you and come back to you and say, okay, no, this was safe. Or not safe. Don't open this. And then further to that, if it didn't come in a safe, you can then use the platform to go check who all got this mail and go rip it out of their mailboxes. And obviously check if there was any clicks. It's very... Oh, that was saying a lot. But yeah, there's various ways to approach fishy links, say, let's put it that way.
This is why this topic is so fascinating, because it's something that people are exposed to every day, but don't necessarily have the expertise as you do to kind of go, well, here are some simple and practical ways that you can actually, one, be aware, and two, understand the actions that you're meant to take that will actually help shut some of this stuff down. So I think that's enormously valuable already, Emil, but I can let you continue with where you were. And I'll promise I'll try and restrain myself before I pose the next one, yeah?
Not at all. Not at all. Happy to talk about this. Always gets the adrenaline flowing talking about these things, being able to help. Okay, next. Don't want to be there. I want to be on the side. Sorry, a little team bar. As I mentioned, security is a shared responsibility. This is just a sort of a brief mock-up of who would be involved and how you would potentially structure it within an organization. Who needs to be involved when it comes to security? Now, when we talk about a sponsor, that could be your vendor, your supplier, or just the, the example, CEO of the company. He's driving this extremely hard. He gives it to the project lead and the CISO and say, okay, guys, come, we have to get security sorted. Start investigating. Where's our gaps? Start getting stuff implemented. It's never just, okay, it's the IT guy's responsibility. He can go and implement a bunch of security, but chances are he's going to end up annoying everybody if he just willy-nilly enables a bunch of security controls. Okay, something very prevalent that always stands out to me is that there is a IBM did a data breach report. It's quite a long report. I don't want to put too much detail in this slide deck about this, but a highlight for me is that there's a growth in shortage of cybersecurity skills, and just in the last year, 26% less skilled, less cybersecurity skilled staff within the IT space, which is concerning. Um, but that is why we are seeing tools in the market like Security Copilot. You don't need to be an expert if you have Security Copilot. It will help you investigate and mitigate. Um, I have to put a disclaimer there. It doesn't auto-mitigate. We'll get there, but it can help you mitigate. On to our next topic, Zero Trust core principles. This Zero Trust, a lot of times, is a extremely contentious topic because, and originally I started with the same idea is, well, Zero Trust, how can I say I can't trust my employees? I have to trust them. But as I got deeper and deeper and deeper into this nice little wonderland rabbit hole, it's not about not trusting the people. It's about not trusting what is accessing your systems. Users' machine could unwillingly be compromised. They don't know about it. Nobody knows about it. They get access to sensitive data. That their role might require it. As soon as they get that data, data's gone. So when we implement security based on zero trust, it's not about the person necessarily, although we do have to be cautious about insider risk. It is about what is currently accessing that system and the what being the technology behind what is accessing the systems. Well, the data in that case. The core principles: always verify explicitly. Don't let anything just bypass. Needs to be logged. Needs to have some sort of check in place to make sure that transaction was legitimate. Always go least privileged implementation. You can always add more privileges when needed, but if they have too many privileges and a breach occurs, it's too late to go back. You have to recover first and then, restart your journey. If something looks suspicious, if a client says, especially from IT perspective, from IT support's perspective, somebody says, now it looks like something funny going on my account. Don't just assume, it was an update or something. Check, verify. Then we go back. Assume it's a breach, check it, verify it, and then take a process from there. I had a little note I've been saying for a while. Zero trust isn't about not trusting your people. It's about not blindly trusting access requests, no matter where they come from. And again, that being the technology that's accessing your resources, your data, your IP. IP being intellectual property.
Emil, it occurs to me this links incredibly well to the earlier points, is that
Yes.
if you're implementing zero trust without the education to the organization of the scale of the risk, as you presented at the very start, along with the fact that the points of weakness in security are dependent on each and every individual participating on the systems.
Absolutely.
It occurred to me that the presentation of zero trust, if you spoke about the concept of zero trust simply from a technical implementation point of view, it's about locking everything down, about limiting your access, etc. If that's done on its own, then people start going and asking that question, why don't you trust me? As opposed to, if you've led them through the path that you've just taken us through today of going, this is the risk that's up there. It might not be spoken about and exposed a lot, but it's significant. And if you've taken them on from there to going, well, part of the mechanism of actually mitigating that risk is our controls around this and us versus them, then it actually puts zero trust in context, that people start going, I understand why you're doing that. And I understand why we need that in order to defend the organization and protect me as a participant in our systems. You find that that's something organizations are starting to realize, that education process and the individual contributions are an essential part before just talking about the implementation.
So what a lot of organizations we seeing is realizing is that it's not just about what the IT guys are doing in the background. Are they securing my server? Did they put an antivirus on it? They're realizing that it is up to everybody, literally end to end, from where's the data coming from, what flow did it take through the internet to get down to the endpoint, to the user. So a lot of organizations realizing, okay, it's about all of my people, from the guy at reception all the way up to the CEO. We all need to be diligent. The concept of zero trust in itself, even though I put it this way, with I feel is a better way of putting it, is still a bit hard for people to grasp, but purely based on the the performance impact it can have on staff. So if I take, which we also do, a local admin rights away from staff member, he can't install whatever he wants. Which is an annoyance. It slows him down. I need to log a ticket. I need this app ASAP. I'm about to go in a meeting. I need it for my meeting. They don't want to cross that bridge where performance is too severely impacted. Now, on that, there is ways to improve that. You are still implementing the security measures that you wanted, mitigate it as far as you possibly can by pre-approving applications, sending one-time requests, approval flows where IT immediately gets, okay, Mr. X wants this app. I can just click approve if I want. Don't just click approve. Do a 5-minute investigation. At the very least, see if the app is safe. See if there's any CVEs on the internet. Click approve it. And so there is, unfortunately, going to be a give and take, where certain things will be slowed down a little bit, but it's at your best interest as an organization to ensure your data is always protected.
And Emil, with, I guess, particularly with the availability of services like ChatGPT or ChatGPT, Claude, all the other LLMs that are out there, is that becoming an even bigger issue these days?
Absolutely. So we see that everybody wants some sort of AI. And staff will go to ChatGPT. They'll take a sensitive document and upload it to ChatGPT and ask it to do whatever with the document what they want. That, in a sense, is a breach. ChatGPT says, no, we're not going to share your data. But they have the data. OpenAI, the company, then it has that piece of data. By agreeing to use it for free, you agree to let them use whatever you give them. So you don't want, especially intellectual property type documents, out on publicly accessible platforms. And on top of that, if my personal ChatGPT account gets compromised, somebody else now has whatever chats I had with the AI. They have the document I uploaded there. So it just adds another breach factor. So when we look at AI, we sort of need to start very quickly controlling what people can access with AI in an organization. If it is, just purely block it, which, you know, it's a bit unrealistic, but it is the right zero trust implementation to do. And then you give them something like Copilot, Copilot for a user, where they can talk and analyze. That said, it has to fall within budget to make business sense. Is the guy going to save the person going to save enough time through the year to make them more efficient so that it justifies giving him this license? As it's not cheap. It's not crazy expensive, but still, you have to, just from a business perspective, look, okay, now this thing is going to cost X. Now it's too much. You got to look at how much time is this going to save to be able to do more things if you give him a Copilot license, and then restrict access to publicly accessible AI chatbots.
And complementing that with, I guess, your zero trust policy implementation internally to ensure that people only have access to what they need. And again, not because of lack of trust on them, but because you're strengthening the entire security chain by doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, there is a AI readiness assessment from Microsoft that can be done, and it asks a ton of questions, unfortunately, but at the end of it, it will tell you before you deploy general user Copilot licenses, these are the things you need to fill in. Something big in it is Microsoft Purview, which is the data loss prevention, insider risk, compliance, etc. portal, where the recommendation is that you go through an audit of your data to make sure nobody has access to data that they shouldn't have. And the easiest way to then restrict access is by using sensitivity labeling. And then once that process is done, you'll move into actually getting the AI.
So ensure your governance and security practices are in place, that you're actually protecting your data as you're meant to, that your access controls are tightly managed and implemented effectively, or you go and launch mega powerful AI capability, which is entirely data based.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. The last thing you want is just go buy Copilot, give somebody, and the first thing they ask, what is my colleague's salary? And starts a whole big fight. Yeah. So very, very last thing we want.
There, I think, again, is a little use case that people are going to take away from this session. Go and ask a Copilot for all the salaries of everybody in the organization. If you get the answer, you know that there is some work to be done in the security space.
If anybody other than HR gets it, there's a problem. It's definitely then a problem. Yeah.
Cool. Not to interrupt Emil, but I managed to do so.
That's cool. Well, no worries. Cool. I gotta say sorry. I got sinus these last couple of days, so if I sound a bit weird, finally saying why I sound a bit weird. Okay.
But I can't use that excuse. I always sound weird.
Goal 0 assumed trust. So this is just taking our pillars from a previous slide, our core principles, sorry, and expanding them a bit for better understanding, with some false assumptions. Security is the opposite of productivity. I just, touched on that a couple of seconds ago. That's a false assumption. You can still protect yourself. It's just then a bit of work to do to ensure productivity. ID admins are safe. No, not. I had my own account breached about 6 years ago. Luckily, I saw it happening and could, mitigate it. So from first-hand experience, no, nobody is safe. Something I like always saying, security breaches is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's why Microsoft likes the last couple of years to push zero trust mitigation. It has to be a business enablement, business buy-in from all stakeholders, all your staff, and then core principles apply. Always verify. Always assume a breach. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. And use least privilege access as far as you possibly can. And that goes for IT as well. Not every IT guy needs global admin rights on your tenant. If, the day-to-day is to create user accounts, all they need is user admin. Okay. Zero trust architecture. So basically getting into how zero trust fits into which portions of the Microsoft platforms. The architecture focuses on identity, devices, applications, data, infrastructure, and networking. So it covers all aspects of what you might use day to day or long term. Okay, this is a basic modernized initiative to see which part of the architecture fits into the Microsoft space. So identity is obviously Entra and Intune. Infrastructure, I'm gonna say infrastructure includes server equipment, networking equipment, firewalls, end user devices, IoT device technically is also infrastructure, but anything, it's a physical device that's doing something for you. Intune obviously can take care of those guys too. Azure, we know we can do amazing things in Azure with infrastructure and IoT. Modern security operations, that will be Defender and Microsoft Sentinel. Sentinel being a modernized SIEM with MDR capabilities, and then data security, we look at Purview and Priva. Purview, there is, I like to put them in two categories. There's the compliance data loss purview within Microsoft 365 Modern Work. So if you have admin rights there, you click on compliance. Takes you to the Purview security portal. That is to protect data on Microsoft 365 tenant. Then there's also Purview in Azure, with that guy, you can incorporate the Microsoft 365 data, so it also checks it, but it's gotten so powerful that you can also integrate data from other sources. Like if you have a SQL database, if it is in AWS or in Azure, you can pull that data in. It then correlates all the data together for you, tells you what your risk is and what you can do to start going risk averse. This is a nice slide I like. Just do also from NIST, so National Institute of Standards and Technologies. Also, most of us have heard of NIST. A lot of standards, security standards, compliance standards come from NIST in conjunction with CIS benchmarking. That's why I like putting the slide in here. So endpoint security will be users, devices, mobile devices, any other devices. ICAM, identity credential access management. So the user has an identity, the device has an identity. If it is, the identity lives on local Active Directory or in Azure Intra ID. The device has its own identity. Access and credentials. Is it managed? How are you authenticating? Is it authorized? Authorized can be done to, if the device is controlled by Intune, check the device compliance. If it's not compliant, it's not authorized. PE, policy engine, and PA, policy administration. PE, you would use for policy implementation, you'd use conditional access in Microsoft space. For policy administration, you're looking at Entra or Defender for Cloud policies to evaluate your access. PEP, policy enforcement point. At what point do you enforce whatever restrictions you decided on based within your policy? Protected resources, cloud and on-prem, has to be protected. I can't have a zero trust architecture in my cloud environment, but not on-prem. Breach happens on-prem, it'll just spread into the cloud. I'm not going to talk about this slide too much, but it is a nice overview of how Microsoft has mapped zero trust within their services stack, to put it that way. This is just a workflow of how you can implement zero trust, what points to check, what needs to be in what area, to what technical components needs to be in place to ensure zero trust. If there's any questions around this, of course, I'm happy to elaborate. And then just a way to start your zero trust journey. This is a basic outline of stages you will go through and what you would do in each stage. First stage is always, a lot of cases, it's somebody saying first, you gotta do this. But after that, stage one, identify your risks. Do a deep dive of your risky endpoints, if it is in the cloud or physical devices. Develop a response, set responsibilities, visualize stage 3, visualize your security posture, document it, and then start implementing. Step 4, never just stop. Continue to educate users, continue to manage risk, evolve your SecOps capability as far as you possibly can that fits within regional budgets. Why zero trust? Just pretty much a summary on zero trust. Traditional perimeters-based security is no longer enough. We focus on verify, least privilege, assume a breach, protect your identity, your data, devices, cloud, hybrid environments. So that's on-prem or cloud environments. Make use of tools like conditional access, Defender. We found so many clients that already have business premium, but they have no implementation of Defender. Defender Business Premium gives you access to Defender for Office, which is the old ATP. So you get all the mail policies they can implement, and you get Defender for Endpoint. So you're gonna be already paying for antivirus. You don't need to get a third-party antivirus unless you obviously want to, and you get Intune in that, so you can control your users' devices. And with Intra ID, enable practical enforcement based on user risk. As I mentioned earlier, that it check for device compliance can only grant access, device and user compliance. If it's the user's location is wrong, deny the access. In Copilot for Security, accelerates threat detection, response, and compliance reporting. I'm gonna get to that guy just now. Zero Trust aligns with NIST, CIST, ISO 27001, and a few other standards on the market. Those are generally the ones you want to look out for. I needed to actually add in the ISO 27001 2020, no? 2022, yes. That's what we're looking at. So, if you go on a zero trust journey with your Microsoft stack of products or any other products for that matter, that you are working towards standards and regulatory requirements already. Copilot for Security. Let's call him the elephant in the room. What is this new guy that just has been dropped on our laps in the market? It's an AI-powered security assistant from Microsoft. Now, we're going to be... The word assistant is extremely important. It's not the be-all, it's the end-all. He's not going to solve all your problems. He's going to assist you in solving the problems. He works with... I'm not calling he. The AI works with all the Microsoft stack of products already built in, all the Defender products, Entra ID, Microsoft Sentinel, and your Purview portals. It helps you speed up investigation and improves the SOC, Security Operations Center, efficiency. Now, SOC in this particular sense is if you have a dedicated security team in the organization, or if that responsibility of protecting your organization, your data, your IP is with IT, that will help IT be more efficient in checking up on investigations and potential security breaches. What Copilot can do: summarize incidents, generate reports, answer threat hunting queries. I don't know how many of us has looked at incident in the Microsoft portal before. It can be extremely intimidating. Copilot can help you understand what just happened. You get this amazing flow diagram of lots of computers here and files there, and sort of, especially at first glance, it can be extremely intimidating. Security Copilot can help you understand that and generate a report on this, how serious it is, and what you need to do to mitigate. First to fix, resolve, and then to mitigate the potential incident in future. Threat hunting, not a lot of people tend to use it because it needs custom query language to be able to use it effectively, or understanding of custom query language. Copilot Security, he will generate those queries for you. So you can ask him, I need to hunt for XYZ. You pop it to him. He might give you the answer, or the answer of the custom query already for you, or give you the custom query, or will give you both. Having the custom query just then means you can automate that advanced hunting and put alerts towards that. What I can't do, automatically take action. It's not there to replace your IT team. Any defender tooling. It is not the endpoint protection. It is not the cloud protection. It is just an assistant to help you investigate and mitigate. I can't, at this point in time, ingest third-party non-Microsoft signals. So it's purely based on whatever is within the Microsoft stack of programs. It's not intended to replace Microsoft Sentinel, although it can work in conjunction with Sentinel or any other SIEM or source. And it is not intended to access custom environments unless the person setting it up gave it that access. And the person setting it up needs that access to be able to give it that access.
Sorry, Emil, probably just a comment there. So
Yes.
the typical generalization that we probably share with customers around Copilot tools is probably in exactly that space. It is a human in the loop tool that you get the most out of when you bring humans to use it, that have the domain experience and understanding of the space. Then you gain the efficiencies, then you gain the ability to leverage the tool more effectively in that space for what it is intended to do.
Absolutely. And when when you start using these tools, it is good to understand, specifically like Security Copilot. It was built for this specific intent because they know there is so little security skills out there on the market. There's decline in those security skills. IT has 1,000 things to worry about already. If it is, user walking to the office asking if there's something, my laptop isn't working, setting up thousands of laptops, checking the servers crashed. So they built this specifically for security. And this guy, as you mentioned, with all other AI tools, has to be used in conjunction with a human. It is not there to replace the human. Um, at all. So where this is extremely beneficial is, security resource employee could be extremely expensive, where you can let your current IT use Security Copilot, get that at potentially, depending on how many cores you assign to it, get this, let them use this to look at the security of your organization. But by doing that, that person using the tool is also learning. Tomorrow, they won't ask Security Copilot that question anymore because they asked it a couple of days ago. They have the knowledge already, so they know exactly where to go look. So it's not just a do it for me tool. It's also at the same time a training tool. How can I be more efficient as a uh, employee that's designated to look after security for my business? As I mentioned, it does integrate with all the Microsoft security products that's already available. As if you have Business Premium, E5, E3, those type of licenses, you got access to majority of these applications, services already, or products. Then we get to the sort of a fun bit. I didn't originally have access to Security Copilot. I was going to present you guys with just some examples from the internet. But luckily, we got access to the platform. I can actually show you some real live prompts. So refresh this quickly. Sorry for looking away at you guys now. It's on my main monitor.
I think you should turn your camera screen so that we can see your login username and password, Emil.
The unfortunate thing is, unfortunate thing is that when you spin it up, it is tied to that tenant's data. So I can't go attach it to another client's data and say, what's going on there? It is really tied to your organization data. Let me start with maybe what you need to have it. You do need a Microsoft Azure subscription. As you go CSP, whatever the case may be, you do need that Azure subscription. And you have to assign a certain amount of computing cores to it. So based on the amount of queries you think you're going to run in a day, you'll spec that towards the amount of AI core units, if you will, to it. I set it to the minimum of 1 core. Yesterday, I did 3 queries in about the space of 5 minutes. When I did the 4th query, told me, no, wait, half an hour later, I could query it again. So that picking it will have to be an extremely let's say detailed discussion to make sure that it's spec'd according to your needs. When you first go to this portal, it will ask you about this to set it up, the subscription. Where do you want to put it? Where should the queries be processed? Etc. Goes through a bit of steps, and within it was about 15 minutes set up, it's working. You immediately get some prompts to try from Microsoft. Things they've seen that is helpful. I'll say potentially quite a few helpful ones here already available for you. One I like to do because it is extremely tedious to get the data out of into either yourself. Would be this guy. I'm just gonna copy and paste this from the side here. Show me all users who signed in from new locations in the past 7 days. If you've ever need to investigate this, it takes quite a bit of time. Go report, potentially export the report, filter it yourself. With this guy, ask it the question, And when it's one day happy with me.
Live demonstrations.
No. Okay, you can have the clipboard. Because I'm copying and pasting. So we'll tell you where it's gonna look based on your prompt. It's processing the request, retrieving the data. So that's part I really like. Comes back to like it's training you. So it's telling you, okay, the information you want lives there. This is a general prep. Here is how you can get it or what got it, and then yeah, stuff that's locations changed within the last 7 days. Very nice prompt. That's a nice one.
That's proper agentic action for you, where it's actually interacting with other systems, retrieving that data, and then answering a question on top of that.
Absolutely. It is. I've attached this to a test environment. Excuse if any of these are not working properly. Okay, that's fine. I know I've implemented a bunch of conditional access policies. What do you want? What do you think I can improve on? So it's not just a reactive incident happened. Let's investigate the incident. I can also suggest improvements to you. Okay, I might have broken it. Yeah, I broke it.
Well, at least the indication is there in terms of the value, Emil. I think that's more than enough to point our audience at to go, well, it's not just a query of what is, but it allows you to be proactive as well in terms of posing where's the opportunity for improvement? Where are the other areas that we should focus on and prioritize in terms of security implementation across the landscape?
Absolutely. I did have that particular question I did ask it yesterday. I liked that one. So here's one with custom query or advanced hunting query. We've got open RDP ports. Gives you the query, so you don't have to write it yourself. You can use this to how to implement it, and we'll tell you at the end. The other found something or it didn't, which obviously in this case is extremely great. Suggest me some conditional access improvements. And yeah, I like that it goes against what Microsoft recommends you from the security portal. Security portal says, no, don't change your password. Okay. Copilot just told me I must. I love that. Yeah, so there's great value to help you investigate. It will help you suggest a possible fix, and it can help you be proactive, but it cannot replace you. It cannot fix anything for you. It will give you the how in a nice, easy, usable format, but it does not replace you. It's with AI, I think is a big concern for a lot of people at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, Emil, with that, I realize we have run a little over time today, 10 minutes over the hour. I just wanted to go on here with further questions, but I know our audience probably has to get through to the rest of the day. So perhaps with that, I will invite our audience. If you do have further questions for Emil on this topic, please do email those through to us. We'll put that into the chat window so folks can drop that through. We'll happily respond to those questions. Emil, thank you for your time today. And that's been fascinating. I think the major takeaways have been: be aware of the risk, educate, everybody's part of the solution, zero trust, and take those first steps to implementation, and then leverage the capabilities that are there in things like Microsoft Copilot for security in order to be a bit more proactive for your security and defense. Emil, thank you for sharing today. It's been fantastic having you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess-
Thank you for having me. I was excited to do this. I like to inform and train and help. Um, sort of a core pillar that was given down to me from my parents. Help where you can. Everybody needs to be safe.
Brilliant. Well, to our audience, thank you for joining us today on the Insight session. We do hold these on a regular basis, so do look out for our next one, where we will inevitably at some point in time hand Emil back to take us further down the road in terms of looking at security within your organization and what you can do to be safe out there. In the meantime, have a great day. Thank you for joining.
A global software company rooted in South Africa, with reach across the UK, Europe, and the Middle East. We bring together architects, engineers, designers, analysts, collaborating as one team to build systems that drive outcomes, not just outputs. Because the future doesn't belong to those with the most data, it belongs to those who know how to use it and build on it fast. From enterprise apps to Gen AI bots, from cloud solutions to product strategy, we deliver digital with direction. Built right, built custom, built for change. So let's break the limits of legacy systems. Let's create things worth using again and again. Let's turn slow into agile, complex into simple, idea into impact. Technology should serve purpose, solve problems, move business forward. At DVT, we believe great software is more than code. It's strategy, design, and execution. We work with companies ready to build boldly, to scale smarter, to reimagine what's possible through custom technology. Software is everywhere, but its power is only unlocked when it's designed for people. DVT is the partner behind your next transformation. Because when software works, so does everything else. This is what we do. This is DVT.